welcome back to G Thoughts YouTube channel, and I am your host, Glovita. How is everyone today? Long time no see, and I'm going to be bringing these videos to y'all back to back. And what I want to bring to you today in my kitchen on our channel, because hi G Thought family, I am going to bring you my own rendition of chicken stock. This is going to be a very easy video, and all it's going to be is about remnants that you cook with every single day and how easy it is to cook with and for you to make and prepare for your ready use. So if you could for me, because I'm trying to kick out these videos for y'all and keep y'all entertained as we go through this pandemic series on just little cooking tips and helpful ideas for your everyday cooking, because you know we're going to do a lot of it, right? Just so y'all know, because healthy eating is the best way. So with that being said, let me get started on what I got for y'all today. So what I did is pulled out my big roaster oven, and it's an 18 quart. And what I'm going to do is my own rendition of chicken stock. Now I've researched and I watched a couple of YouTube clips, and I've read some studies and some cookbooks of how people just basically do chicken broth and chicken stock. Chicken broth is basically boiled chicken in water. There's no seasonings, there's no flavor. It is really just chicken broth to add flavor to your water. And if you want to say what's the difference between the broth and the stock, a stock is a more richer content with your skin on, bone in produce or your poultry of your choice, because you can either do beef or you could do chicken, and you can also do pork. But me, I'm more of a chicken, vegetable, beef type broth person. Okay, I don't do a lot of pork, but when I do dive in pork, of course, you know what it is. Bacon. And then the other one is going to be your pepperoni. And those are the two ones that I do eat that is pork. But basically all my clientele will be from turkey, fish, and chicken, and sometimes beef. Because, I have children and they love beef sometimes, and I'm okay with that. We all like our different palates in this household, and I do aim to please because it's our family. Your house your way, my house my way. With that being said, the second addition to your stock is going to be your bone in and your chicken, where say if you have wingdings, and most people never eat the wing tips or the wingdings, and I go to a butcher. And when I go to the butcher and I get my wingdings, I usually always have them cut off the wing tips of the chicken, and I have it separated and placed in a separate bag for me to use for my stock. So when you do your stock, you're going to do your bone in, skin on, and you're going to roast it for at least 18 to 24 hours. The longer you brew your stock, the richer your stock broth will be. And also what I'm also doing is adding my vegetable pieces in with my stock. So it's going to have a rich broth with a fatty content with vegetable flavoring in it, which is going to bring so much amped flavor to your dishes. So if you're doing chicken, like homemade chicken noodle soup, or if you want to put this in your like if you broil like your spaghetti noodles and you want a chicken base or you want a beef base, to any type of things that you want to add stock into, this is a great rendition. And what I'm going to do is also, once I finish brewing this broth, I'm going to put it in my mason jars, and I'm going to give you a snippet or how to do mason jar canning, because I've been into that lately, and I think with us going through the pandemic, and if you haven't heard, it is a shortage on mason jars or Kira jars in our state. So if you can buy them, get them. They are a good investment. They last for years because they are microwave, freezer, and oven safe. They're a good addition to have to your kitchen appliances. So I'm going to bring to you today of what I mean by veggie stock. Now if you're a vegetarian or vegan, this is also good for you as well, but I do eat produce and poultry and beef. But if you just want to keep it vegan and vegetarian, what you're going to do, each time you cut your vegetables, your garlic, your bell peppers, your celery, your carrots, and your onions, you save the tips of the things that you would throw away in the trash, and you basically just put them in a gallon freezer bag. And when you put them in that gallon freezer bag, you're just going to keep adding to it each time that you cook. And so what I do to keep it in I have a small deep freezer, and each time I cook, I save all my remnants to my vegetables. So this is my garlic, this is my celery, this is my onion, this is my bell pepper. that I just accumulate over time until I get enough where I can stew my broth. And I'm also going to put this inside my 18-quart dish. This is going to slow brew over time, and it's going to have a rich flavor, and it's going to be so good for you. And it has so many antibodies when you have bone-in chicken broth. And this bone-in chicken broth goes between $5 to $8 in a store. Okay, that's expensive when you can do it in your own home. So if you were just only going to do a vegetable broth, this is what this will look like for all the contents of the materials that you cut up each day to do your material with. You just freeze it and you just add to it each time that you do your vegetable prepping or your cooking. And especially since we're going into the Thanksgiving season, you'll have a lot of remnants left over that you can do your own stock with, and you can just basically do a veggie broth. But I'm going to do it both because I like a nice brew stock, and I always make my kids chicken noodle soup with my broth. So, and when I'm going to get to the next step, for the third step, what we're going to do with that. So basically all you're going to do is take all your vegetable pieces, and I already got my 18-quart filled, like almost half, like an inch and a half way up. I almost filled it, and I just basically is going to just put all my remnants into this quart. Sorry, y'all didn't see that. I had an extra bag with inside of the bag, okay? Don't come for me, don't judge me. Y'all ain't got to eat this, okay? But I'm clean. Y'all know how we do it here, family. We do real, we do love on this channel, okay? And sometimes there's a oof. But I love y'all anyway. But you know some of y'all are critical. Love y'all. But y'all can drive the folk crazy. So what you're looking at here is celery, you're looking at onion, you're looking at bell pepper, you're looking at bits of garlic, and you're looking at carrots. And it smells good, to be honest to y'all, right off the back. So you just take your regular onions, and you see these, you just take your regular onions, because I use all type of onions. I use Vidalia onions, red onions, sweet yellow onions, and you just take the remnants of this material, okay, that you're going to cut, or you may throw away, and you just put them in your broth, and you just stew it for a very long time. And I'm also going to come to y'all with one with an Instant Pot, because I had some left over, and since I'm doing a broth anyway, I'm just using this from my material that I had left over and put it inside my broth. And then what you're going to do, and just like with your garlic cloves, you know, the little skin off the garlic, or garlic that maybe has went bad, you're just going to put this in here, and this is what you're freezing, just to give y'all a bird eye view of what you're brewing and you're putting into your stock. Now if you were just doing vegetable stock, this is all that you would need, and you will brew it for 12 to 24 hours on low, and you just watch it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, once it's done, you're just going to strain it, and then you're going to take out all the impurities, and you're going to be left with a rich, delectable broth. Okay, I'm trying to hook you up for the 9-9, even though this is 2020 going to 2021. Okay, so we put in our vegetable broth, and this is what I get at my local meat market, because I'm a meat market queen. And then yes, I do sometimes get my produce from a regular grocery store, but if you ever get a chance, just try out a butcher. Go to a butcher, because you can do anything cut your way, and there's no additional charge for that. You just go to your butcher and tell them, just debone the back of my chicken or debone the back of my turkey, and save those parts and make your broth. So what I have here is 3 backs of whole chickens, and I froze them. And we're just gonna place them in the water. Get in the pool. Okay? You get that in the pool. And then I have another one. I just label as turkey parts. Okay? And these are nothing but wheat tips that I got from my my wingdings, and I just save to make my broth. And you just put them in there frozen, because you're cooking it for a long period of time. It's going to defrost and break away. Okay, and I'm making a big batch of it, because now that we're in the winter seasoning, I just want to make sure that I have enough broth to last me. And if not, you can always use like a chicken bouillon or a base bouillon cube for if you want vegetable or beef or chicken broth. That's another tip, okay? You heard it here first. And I'm just going to load this up. And I had some turkey parts, but turkey parts work just the same, but I have more chicken than I have turkey. Okay, and I'm going to turn on my roaster, okay, to 250 degrees. We're going to put the lid on it, and ladies and gentlemen, that's it. So this is going to be a part 2. So when we come back tomorrow, it is going to have brewed at least 18 to 20 hours. I'm going to show you how to strain it, and I'm going to show you how to mason jar it. And this is just healthy, good eating tips for your household. Since we have the time to do extra things for our body and our mental and physical health, do it, because your body will thank you later, okay? So for right now, we'll be back. Hello everyone, good afternoon, and we're back, and this is part 2 of your stock. Okay, so what we did is let the stock marinate in my roaster, and I have an 18-cup roaster, and this holds up to 72 cups of broth, okay? Because I did it in the largest roaster or pot that you may have, if you're using the big batch, because I have a really big batch of stock here. So what you just seen, what you're about to witness me do, is drain the vegetables and the broth from the stock to take out all the impurities from the vegetables that we have roasted in with our extra chicken backs and broths. So with here, this is just a strainer, and I'm going to go and put it now in this bowl. I just filled up a pot that is 7 liters worth of stock, and that was a lot. So what I'm going to do now, and just for FYI, in the future, because I didn't have it at the time, if you may have some cheese cone that would work for you, to order to put your vegetables in when you put in with your chicken broth and your backs, to that way you don't have to go through this process of straining all the vegetables from your broth. But I didn't have that, so what we're going to do is work with what we got, right? So I'm taking all the broth that I get out of here out of my 18 quart. Thank you, my daughter. And we're just draining, trying to get all the broth out as possible from all the vegetables. So I hope everyone can see this. And now I'm just filling a bowl with the remainder of the broth. And then everything that has cooked, and this cooked about 18 to 20 hours on low, on 250 degrees if you're doing it in a roaster. So see that purity in this bone broth? It's a nice rich dark color from all the vegetables and the chicken backs and the wings that I had collected over the past few months in the freezer. And you just keep everything with your vegetables and your chicken backs and your chicken wings, or even your turkey. You just keep it in a freezer bag and put it on there as stock, and you just add to it each time you cook. So therefore you can do it in big batches. And then what we're going to do next, after I finish straining all this broth from off the vegetables, we're going to do another clip, and I'm going to do a snippet on how to water bath in a mason jar. So we'll be back on part 2. Hello everybody, we're back, and it's part 2. So on the last clip, which you just seen in before, is that we were just straining the vegetables and we were getting all the broth off. And so what we did was strain the vegetables from the bone broth, from the bone pieces and the turkey pieces away, and now I'm showing you the process of doing the mason jar canning. So if you look down in here, we can pan down, my daughter. What you're looking at here is 18 quarts of delicious bone broth, strained. And what you're seeing on top is a little bit of the fat that's left over that we did skim off the top. But this is your vegetable and chicken broth. A little bit over 18 hours. So now what you're going to see me do, when you always mason jar, you're going to have hot liquid, hot food, hot jars, okay? And then when we pan over to the side, we're going to have on my stove, which we're going to just do a basic water bath canning. And you can use any pot to water bath can in. Now you're going to water bath can to the sea level in your state. So each state is going to be different to when you have to have it boiling in the hot simmering water. So what I'm going to show you doing, now that we're going to start on the mason jar, I have 2 ladles, and then I have 3 quart jars. And I'm going to have to do this in batches because I've made a lot of batch of this bone-in broth, chicken broth, and it smells delicious. And you're probably going to ask me, Glovita, did you season your broth? I sure did. After we strained and got everything clear so we can have a clear broth, I also went back with salt and pepper and seasoned it to taste. Now let me tell you something. I didn't go heavy on the salt and pepper because remember, this is a broth and we're going to season it when we do our stocks and our stews. Okay? So when you mason jar, you're always going to leave 1/8 of an inch at the top when you fill. And that's going to be 1/8 of an inch at the top, okay? And now remember, hot food, hot jars, hot water bath can, because you don't want any combustion for the glass to break on you. And trust me, I've been mason food jarring for quite some years now, and I've seen where I made my mistakes. So everything has to be hot in temperature, because if not, you're going to have the things crack and break on you, and that's what you don't want, okay? I'm not a professional, I'm just a realist that had a lot of practice on making mistakes. So I decided to video record it because everybody is trying to save money and eat right and eat healthy, and I figured this video would be very informative, and I was just going to let you watch me do it step by step so you can see the actual process, because it's not that hard. It's just having patience with yourself. 1/8 of an inch at the top, because that makes sure it closes. And you want to make sure that your jars are clean and sterilized when you get to this process. Now the FDA says that we do not have to boil and sterilize our lids anymore, so I did not. So all I did was sterilize and make sure that my jars were clean. Because anything you don't want when you're doing mason jarring is botulism. Botulism is an ugly bacterial bug that when things are not sealed properly or not clean, that bacteria is trapped in there and it can cause you to be sick and even cause death. So we don't want that for our families, okay? And when I tell you that this broth smells magnificent, it smells good, everyone. You gotta try it at least once. And if you're doing, you know, major cooking, because now we're in Thanksgiving and November season, you celebrate the holidays, this will be a good time to do your stocks for your stews, for your turkeys, to have things stored away for you for the winter, because it's coming. And then who wants a boring base box broth when you can have it homemade, know when you labeled it, know when it's fresh, to be served to your family. Okay, so you're just going to take clean lids, okay, your seal, you're going to finger tight, and when I say finger tight close, till it just turns on the top. Take your lid, your jar, finger lid tight, because you don't want it too tight, because you're going to boil it for at least 5 to 10 minutes, because my sea level is for 10 minutes for my steak. So that's what I had to research. Make sure you research when you doing water bath canning for your liquids. So far I have 3 quarts. I'm going to go ahead and finish these 3 quarts, and then I'm going to take you back to the stove and we're going to show you how we're going to put it in a regular stainless steel pot. You don't always need a stock pot, but if you have it in your budget to get it, it is a great investment. And I also do have a pressure cooker where I can do hot water bath canning and food canning in another jar, and I'm going to bring another whole video about that for you as well. So I'm going to finish ladling up my broth and I'll be right back with you. Okay, welcome back everybody. I know this is a long process, but it's going to be a lot of detailed steps in this, okay? So we had an 18 quart roaster quart that I had it on 250 degrees for 18 to 20 hours, okay? And that's with my bone-in chicken backs, chicken wings, and I had like 2 turkey wings, and I just let them simmer on low all night and then half the afternoon the next following day. So now what I'm showing you is that we kept the broth warm, we strained it, okay? We took all the impurities out of all the vegetables. And then second, if you have a cheesecloth or a metal niche that you can put inside your pot, stock pot, or your slow cooker, it would be best. So that way all you got to do once everything finishes roasting, you can just take it out and dispose it. But if you don't, we always have a second alternative. You manually just strain and drain it as you go. And I actually strained it twice to make sure I got all the impurities off from the chicken and the vegetable stock. Okay. 3, what we did was keep our oven on 220 degrees with our mason jars, and I got 12 quart mason jars. Okay, an 18 quart pot with like 3 to 4 pounds of chicken stock, bone in, and vegetables made 12 quarts of this fresh bone in chicken broth. Isn't that wonderful? And when you go to the store, Google it, price it. When you go to your regular grocery stores, see how much money you're going to be saving yourself when you stock it up. Okay, so now when you do mason jarring, you're going to do hot jars, hot food, hot broth, hot boiling water. And remember to look where your state is, where the sea level is, or how long you're supposed to boil your mason jars for them. Make sure that they seal so we don't have our family contaminated with botulism. Okay, so I'm gonna have my lovely daughter show you how many quarts of jars we have. So these are quart jars. Okay, and I'm using the towel because they're still hot. Remember, hot food, hot jars, hot water. So we have 3 wide mouths and we have 3 regular mouths mason jars. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how to water bath. Okay, so we have our water up to a boil. Okay, and we're going to slowly put your 8 quarts, your quarts of jars into the hot water. And I'm going to have to fill up the water a little bit more because of the simple fact it's got to be all the way to the rim. Now remember, when you are doing water bath canning, if you don't have a stock pot, remember you have to have something at the bottom to make sure that your glasses are not touching the bottom of your pot. So I have an Instapot, and I took that rack from my Instapot, and I hope they can see down in the pot, that they're not touching the bottom of the pot, because if your mason jars touch the bottom of your pot and your stock pot or your stock stainless steel thing, it will combust and break. That's what you don't want. So I think I'm gonna get about 3. It's gonna overflow, people. So we're just gonna do 2 at a time, because actually the pot is too short for me to put a 3rd one in without it overflowing, and I don't want to mess. So in normal basis, what I would do, so I don't have to cut the camera off and re-edit it and everything for you, we're just going to do 2 at a time or 3 at a time, and I'm going to pour out some of the water on the next set, and I'm just going to boil these. For my sea level will be 10 minutes, and then I'm going to show you to put them back on the rack for them to cool for the next 18 to 24 hours or overnight. So that's basically your water bath canning for your jars. Okay, and everything you do, make sure that you research, you Google, and you thoroughly check of what you're doing when you're definitely doing mason jar canning, because it is a very beneficial product, but it's also a dangerous product if you're not knowledgeable. Okay, so this was segment 3 of the chicken broth and the mason water bath canning, and I appreciate you. And if you can give me a thumbs up and like this content of this video, I would gladly appreciate it. Until then, cheers.